All righty. We are going to go ahead and get started shortly here. And I just want to make sure that everyone, and Erica, you can give me the sign that you can hear me okay. Everyone is going to be muted during this, and then at the end, we'll open it up for questions. But I'm going to go ahead and get started as close to 5 o'clock as possible, just to stay on time here. And I'm really excited about this presentation. So today we're going to be talking about supplements and really targeting the belly fat. It is definitely something that we hear all the time. It is a difficult area, and we have spent many years really trying to, identify ways to help people lose weight very effectively and very quickly, and essentially just getting, doing it in a very healthy way. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and get started talking about today. So the learning objectives for this talk is to talk about why weight loss attempts fail 90% of the time. You're going to better understand the different fat stores in the body, learn what causes the visceral fat, the deeper belly fat that is so difficult to lose. We're going to talk a little bit about supplements and how they can actually target that resistant fat. You're going to learn a little bit about how the environment can contribute to our weight gain and weight loss resistance, and then just a little bit about our success stories and what you can do going forward to really change that trajectory. So first things first, I always like to start with some of the most basic foundational things, and we are talking about this today. And like anything in life, it is really all about that mindset. And the most important part to any type of goal that you're trying to achieve in your life is really believing that you can do it. So if you're here, sitting here and listening to this presentation, and it's going to be about offering you ways that you can lose weight, and you're thinking to yourself, oh gosh, here we go again, I'm going to hear this, I'm going to try it, it's not going to work, then it's probably not going to work. So it is super important to really start to believe that you can get to that healthy place in your life. The second part is really thinking about what is realistic for you and what you really want. Like, this is such an important piece. It's not just kind of like throwing lofty goals out there. We really do have to tell the brain what we really want. And then third is to really take action and really break down those actionable steps, because, I'm here to kind of show you the steps to kind of get that whole process going. So I am offering a free program at the end. So it's going to be really important that everybody who's on right now, add your email address to the chat box, and make sure that you use the email that you use to register for the program. And then if you stay through the end of the program, then you're going to be entered into a raffle, and I will be choosing somebody to get a free program. Okay. All right, so let's just start out by this slide. And it's really important to understand that weight loss is multifactorial. And, I've used this slide many times, and sometimes I think, I don't want to confuse people, because my main goal in all of this is to simplify things, to keep it simple, help people understand that it's not about chasing everything that's going on. It's about treating and really fixing the foundation so that everything kind of responds. But it is multifactorial. And lifestyle habits such as sleep and stress and sleep could be contributing to your inability to lose weight. We live in a modern world that is just toxic. I am going to talk more about that because I think it's super important. Hormone imbalances, our mental health, nutrient deficiencies. We are overnourished, and we are overfed and undernourished, and that's just really the world we live in now. Gut health is crucial. And like I said, it's really about treating the foundation so that you can have lasting results. we have people. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to dig into at the beginning is talking about body fat and the different fat cells. In this photo, you're going to see that there's 6 different types of body fat, or where people store fat. And more specifically, aside from the 6 different types, it's the fat cells itself. Now, I know this slide is very busy, and I don't want you to get caught up with all of the detail. I just want to point out a couple of things that are really important. And the first thing is, when you look at, okay, so there's 3 different types: white adipose tissue, brown adipose tissue, and beige. And you can just see the structure in itself looks very different. So white adipose tissue, the most important piece to this is where it's located in the body. Subcutaneous, which is right below the skin. We're going to talk more about it, but it's pinchable, fat that you can feel. And then you have your intra-abdominal. That's the deeper belly fat that's hard. You can't pinch it. This type of fat is also around the heart and can be around the gonads, around, different parts of the body. The morphology in that is important. The cell composition is this. Mitochondria is super duper important, which I will help you understand that. White cells have very few mitochondria, and its main function is to store energy. Brown adipose tissue is basically located in the upper part of the body, around the shoulder blades, around the spine. So it's a very different type of fat. And its cell composition is that it has a large number of mitochondria. Again, we'll talk about this. And its function is to actually expend energy and produce heat. So this is an important component of the brown. And then the beige adipose tissue is really a combination of the white and the brown. So it can store energy, it can burn energy. So it's kind of like right in the middle. I mentioned the mitochondria, so then I thought I would put it in the slide so people understood what it was. But mitochondria is in every cell of the human body, and there's trillions of cells in the human body. So its main role is to really produce energy. So if your mitochondria is damaged, it's going to be really hard for your body to actually produce energy. It regulates metabolism, promotes the growth of new cells. It helps detoxify ammonia and other compounds from the liver, helps build compounds of blood and hormones, and it's involved in various cellular activity and signaling and cell growth. So again, the mitochondria is crucial to human health. So just to bring you back to the main differences, white fat, unfortunately, is really the type of fat cells that make you gain weight. Brown fat actually helps you lose weight. And the big piece, again, the little purple dots here, this is the mitochondria. You can see the white fat cells have very minimal mitochondria. The brown are full of mitochondria. And the white cells, if you have a lot of white cells, this is an opportunity for the body to just hang on to calories and it will not burn it. Whereas the brown, it's very difficult for the brown fat to actually store calories. So this is just more of an elaboration of the white fat. We talked about that it stores energy for later use, but it also plays a huge role in the function of hormones. And the hormones such as estrogen, leptin, some of you might have heard of leptin, but it's one of those hormones that stimulate hunger. If you have a large amount of white cells and it's triggering your leptin, you're going to be hungry all the time. It has an effect on insulin sensitivity and your cortisol response. So I'm assuming that most people now know stress is related to a cortisol response. Cortisol increases blood sugars, and then when your blood sugars are elevated, that is, when your body is in that fat storing mode. So white fat is not good. I think we all kind of grasp that. Brown fat, again, it is fats oxidation. It's producing energy, burning fat, and it has a ton of mitochondria. So the brown is good. The beige, again, it can perform different properties. I was going to remove this slide, but I thought it was worth mentioning because of, we're hearing, online or wherever it is, there's so many different things that people are promoting to lose weight. And those things can absolutely work. And so if you are somebody that has a lot of, say, like beige fat, and you do certain activities such as cryotherapy, you put your body in this short-term temporary state of stress that is actually really good for the body. Being cold for a short period of time can actually produce more of those brown fat cells. But again, the key here is, and I'll reiterate this as I go through the presentation, the key is temporary stress versus chronic stress. And in this day and age, in the modern world we live in, there's not many humans who have temporary stress. We're all kind of living in this chronic state of stress, which is counterintuitive for sure. Okay. So this is an introduction to help you understand, and I hope everyone can follow me because the next few slides are going to be a little wordy, but it's super duper important for you all to understand this concept. So this is why weight loss stops. We have two main areas of fat stores. We have, like I mentioned, the subcutaneous, like right below the skin. You can pinch it. You do not like the way it looks, but it's there. It actually is not that damaging to the body. It just doesn't look great, right? But then you have the visceral fat, which is that hard belly fat that basically surrounds all of the main vital organs in our system. So you have your intestines, your stomach, your liver, and this type of fat is inflammatory, and it is what basically increases your risk for disease. So some of the main reasons why this contributes so much to the disease progression is that it causes systemic inflammation in the body, it increases insulin resistance, and it signals the hunger and stress hormones. So again, I will talk a little more detail about how this is formed, but just kind of keep in mind that it's the visceral, deeper, hard fat that is essentially what is the biggest problem for people trying to lose weight. And I heard this analogy a while ago, and I thought it was worth mentioning again because it helps people understand the difference between the subcutaneous, the visceral when you're trying to lose weight. Our body stores close to over 120,000 calories just in the human body. So obviously the majority is in fat stores. But because of the composition of our fat stores, you can think of frozen food like visceral fat, and you can think of the refrigerator as subcutaneous. So if you go on a diet and you restrict your calories, and your body needs to find calories, it's going to go to the calories that are easily accessible. And that is the subcutaneous fat. So that's what the body recognizes for calories when it's, when you go on a restricted calorie diet. So the problem is people are like, oh, okay, well, I've been on this restricted calorie diet, but my weight loss stopped. And I'm not even near my weight loss goal. I just don't even understand. It's so frustrating, and I'm not going to diet anymore because it doesn't even pay to do that. And it's literally because the visceral fat is like the frozen food. It's there. It's contributing. It's adding to your body total calories, but your body can't access it because it's like what we consider trapped. So our main goal is to take the frozen, trapped visceral fat, move it to the refrigerator so that now when you restrict your calories and the body's like, oh, okay, I need food, where do I go? It can actually go and burn it. So hopefully that makes sense. So what causes visceral fat? You know, when I was putting this presentation together and I had this slide, I'm like, you know, I could be a little straightforward and blunt and just say, okay, it's sugar, because for the most part, it is sugar. But the body's a little more complicated than that. And there might be some other components that are contributing to the visceral fat. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to sugar. And whether that sugar is pancakes, Fruit Loops, I mean, it could be the healthy stuff you're eating, the granola. I mean, having a breakfast of yogurt, granola, and fruit is probably the same amount of sugar as like pancakes with jelly. And so it's really about educating and understanding your diet and the macronutrients that you're consuming. So what happens is when you consume a lot of sugar, you know, is metabolized and it goes to your bloodstream, because your blood is what basically takes sugar as energy. It's the main fuel source for our body, and it disperses it throughout the body. But what happens is too much sugar causes a syrupy type of consistency. And now this begins almost this cascade of metabolic dysfunction. So this is where it's going to get a little, I want you to follow me because it is very important, but it might get a little complicated. All right. So glycemic variability basically means blood sugar fluctuations. So when we eat, what we eat all day, we want the main goal for a healthy person is to keep your blood sugar spikes in a pretty stable range. So you can see here 60 to 120. So let's just say you were somebody that stayed in the green all day long. That is healthy. There's not going to be any signs of like any metabolic dysfunction. But what happens now in this day and age and our access to food and the crap that we eat and, you know, granola bar here, Snickers, soda, you know, whatever it is, all day long, what's happening is you're getting these major spikes in your blood sugars. So you eat something, spike, then insulin comes in to save the day and bring it down to normal range. So when this is happening day after day, all day long, that's when the body is like, all right, all you do all day long is spike these blood sugars. The insulin keeps trying to pull it down and take the sugar into the cell, and the cells stop responding to insulin. So hopefully this slide will help you better understand that whole kind of process. But when you have too much sugar in the bloodstream, okay, insulin, its main role is to go in, bind to the sugar, take it out of the blood, move it to the cells to be used for energy. Okay, so now because the cells are no longer responding to insulin wanting to take it to the cell, the sugar starts to accumulate in the blood. And when sugar accumulates in the blood, it becomes super toxic very quick. And so the body does have mechanisms to get it out as soon as possible. So if you can't get it into the cells to be used for energy, the liver will actually come in and turn the sugar into fat and then store it in that visceral area. Okay, so hopefully you kind of understand that whole process. The fat actually, your body converts sugar into fat when it is in excess. So this is where the disease begins and progresses, because, so again, you remember that the fat, you know, the sugar turned to fat. So now fat is in the visceral, you know, the deeper belly area next to the liver, and it becomes very inflammatory. It actually starts producing its own inflammatory compounds throughout the entire body. So anyone, unfortunately, who is overweight and has a lot of visceral fat, they are inflamed, they feel it. You know, you just feel it, your joints start to hurt, you feel this chronic inflammatory state. So normal physiology from an evolution perspective is that when the body has inflammation, that's like inflammation is the signal to the immune system to say, hello, there's an injury here. Can you come and bring in all your healing properties and your T cells and heal the injury? So now the immune system is involved in this inflammatory state because that's a normal process. The problem is that inflammation is everywhere and it doesn't go away. It's not short term. So now the immune system is always, it's like literally like surveying the body, trying to figure out like what's foreign, what's not, where's the injury. And that's where, you know, you see so many people now having immune system issues, autoimmunity, because when you have a high amount of visceral fat, now the immune system is pretty significantly compromised. So then you have, you know, those things going on. And when there's inflammation in the body, the first thing that becomes inflamed is the gut. And when the gut is inflamed, food becomes a problem. So now, you know, the majority of people that come to see us, the majority are complaining of gut issues, whether it's bloating, constipation, diarrhea, you know, intolerance to certain foods, etc. Keeping in mind that gut digestive issues is just a piece to it. You know, gut issues the gut affects everything. So gut issues could be brain fog, gut issues could be psoriasis, gut issues could be joint pain. So the gut is, once that's inflamed, the whole body is really going to be affected by that. And it is really, again, comes back to the inflammatory state that the body is in. And another important piece is that 75% of the immune system sits in the gut. So when you have gut issues, now your immune system. So again, autoimmunity is another presentation, and I won't even really get into it, but those of you who are on this and maybe dealing with like autoimmune issues, it's like, it starts with the gut and then it's the immune system that's just completely confused and starts attacking its own tissue because of the chronic inflammation. And then layered on top of that is our horrendous food that is available to us. It's full of toxins. And so now your immune system, you know, is not only dealing with the inflammation, but now it's dealing with all of the toxins that is in the food. So the liver is constantly trying to get rid of the stuff in the body. Our bodies were not designed for this. You know, we were designed actually to live off the land and kind of eat, you know, regular whole foods. But you can imagine in this day and age, like our genes have not changed, but our environment has changed so much. And so that's why everyone is walking around just kind of feeling really crappy most of the time. So the body, when the body cannot excrete all the toxins, so it can get rid of some, but it's so significant that it can't get rid of everything. So it basically has to store it. And guess where it goes? It goes in the visceral. So the body will push all the toxins into that visceral fat. The visceral fat is just like that dumping ground for everything everything that's toxic that the body can't get rid of. And then, you know, eventually you can't really absorb your macro, your micronutrients, and these are so significant for so many biochemical reactions to happen in the body. And eventually the processes start to downregulate or just stop, you know, completely. And that's obviously when disease begins and or progresses. So signs of just excess white fat would be temperature, circulatory dysregulation, imbalanced hormone levels, reproductive health issues, you know, this is, again, I mean, we really need to talk more about this, but because we hear so many people now just trying to can't have children, you know, and it's really a lot of it has to do with just the high visceral fat, PCOS, etc. But vitamin deficiencies, neurological dysfunction, impaired metabolism, and like I said, dysregulation of blood sugars, which is essentially metabolic dysfunction. Now we're going to talk about supplements. Okay. So the supplement industry is changing. I am super, super passionate about supplements. So I'll just kind of lay it out in general terms here. So what's happening now is our little big pharma is basically now trying to take over the supplement industry. They've taken over everything, and now they're trying to take over the supplement industry. And they're not good because all they care about is money and medication. So companies such as Nestle, which I worked for, and I left because a lot of reasons, but Nestle, Procter & Gamble, Clorox, Bayer, Pfizer own supplement companies now. So it is so, so important for all of you who are listening to this to understand that, well, I will talk about it a little more, but supplements you see on the shelf are not to be consumed by you. So, I mean, they're really just there to make a lot of money. They make cheap products and they sell to the masses. They sell to people and they market because they have $1 zillion, and it just is not right. So it's all about quality versus quantity. And my suggestion, if you're going to learn anything from this presentation today, is never ever buy supplements from big chains such as Walmart, Walgreens, CVS. I mean, what are some other ones? There's so many. And let me give you an example why. So Centrum SILVER, I think they have the Centrums now, but anyway, I'm going to kind of show you the difference between a really cheap product, cheap poisonous product, I will call it, versus something that actually can help your body. So quality of ingredients is crucial. So when you look at Centrum is probably one of the most profitable multivitamins on the planet. And it is full of stuff. So it's synthetic. It contains synthetic forms of vitamins and minerals, which means basically that your body, it's not bioavailable to the body, meaning it's not absorbed. So if you think about it, like our body's meant to metabolize and absorb and utilize food. But when you throw just fake stuff in there, the body has to deal with it just as it deals with, you know, other preservatives and additives that is in food. So it's synthetic. I will say this just as a caveat, because, you know, there might be someone on here saying, oh, there are some synthetic forms of vitamins and minerals that may be bioidentical to the body, but you'll kind of see, you'll get a snap something like this looks like. So these products contain fillers, additives, gluten, corn derivatives, dyes, sugar, the list goes on. They're less potent, so they're probably not really doing, you're only absorbing a small amount of supplements just in general. And then if they have a really low potency, then it's basically, you know, not doing you any good. So when we hear, I won't say that we hear it a lot, but I have heard it on occasion when, you know, I'm talking to a client and they said, oh, you know, I talked to my doctor and my doctor said that multivitamins are, you know, don't waste your money because they're just expensive to eat. And so actually, if you're taking Centrum, I mean, it absolutely is expensive to eat, because again, it's all about understanding, it's about understanding the supplements and supplement industries, and really like, there's so much details that go into it. But let's look at Centrum that is so heart healthy, brain health, eye health, whole body health. Okay, all right. The ingredients. I know that most of you can't see this because I can barely see it and I have my glasses on, but there are so many just toxic compounds in here, not to mention red dye, yellow dye, blue dye, titanium oxide, zinc oxide. I mean, so many ingredients here that should never be consumed by a human. So if anyone is on Centrum SILVER, I always tell people when I'm consulting with them on their supplement regimen, like I have spent so much money on supplements. So I'm always like, all right, if you have like 10 supplements, go ahead, finish your supplements, and then we'll get you on, some higher quality ones. But if you're taking this product, I'm like, just do it. It's not even worth it. So anyway, hopefully, but our products, super high quality, everything is bioavailable, and you can see the ingredient list. There's usually like 2, 3, maybe 4 ingredients, and like I said, bioavailable to the body, high potency, and actually will induce some type of positive effect on the body. Some other things that you should know about supplements. If you are still going to be going online and searching for supplements, there are certain things that you need to know. When you buy supplements, make sure that the company that you're buying from is actually a supplement company, because you would be surprised how many companies will just like take on supplements just to add to the profit margin and such. So super important. Do they do research and development? Are they sharing those results? Again, just doing your due diligence a little bit more. Making sure that the supplement is quality. There are certain stamps of certification that supplements have. These are actually really, really high quality certifications, NSF and GMP. But I will say that, not everybody can afford these certifications. Are very, very expensive. And we work with a lot of companies that don't have the certification, but they have very high quality supplements. But it's just something to look for. If you do see that, then you know that there's been checks and balances. Examine the ingredients. That's probably the most important piece, because if you're just a consumer, you're not going to really know how to look at the actual form of the vitamin. Like when I'm looking at the label, there's a couple things that I look at and immediately I'm either putting it back or I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this might be okay. And also checking for expiration dates. And so given all of this, and given the amount of research that I've done, looking into certain nutrients and compounds and herbs and all of that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what supplements have proven success for weight loss. And so this particular ingredient, Garcinia cambogia, has a lot of proven success. It is actually from a fruit, and the skin of the fruit contains hydroxycitric acid, HCA. And this is kind of where our HCA lean program came from. This is an active ingredient, obviously enhances weight loss because of its main purpose of inhibiting a fat-producing enzyme in the body. And it also increases serotonin, which helps with like appetite and sugar cravings. So this is just one of the ingredients. Here's our features of the actual HCA process. So it'll block the conversion of carbohydrates to fats, decreases cravings for sugar and carbs. And then again, you can see the hydroxycitric acid and chromium. Some people have heard of chromium because it really is used often for people who have like insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance, those who have like type 2 diabetes, but it helps with insulin function and regulating blood sugar. So that's all in our HCA lean product. L-carnitine is also a very, very important amino acid because it actually helps transport those fatty acids to the mitochondria. So remember, we talked about those big white cells. So L-carnitine will actually move some of those white cells to the mitochondria so it can be burned for energy or used for fuel. And the benefits obviously are enhanced endurance, weight loss, sparing muscle breakdown. And I was going to get into more about enhancing endurance, but if you think about it, like when I was explaining the refrigerator and the freezer. You know, when you lose weight, you're just going after, your body's just recognizing the refrigerator foods, and that's why it stops. But to recognize the freezer and the fridge, now you have like sustainable energy because it's actually using, you know, what is available. Forskolin is an active compound found in the roots of the Indian coleus, which is a tropical plant. This has been used for many, many, many years to treat various conditions, but it stimulates the release of stored fat. So when I was researching and I saw kind of what this ingredient was doing, that's why we added it to our programs. And then Way Less Lean are one of our products in our HCA Lean has both of those products. And you can see the ingredients. Also, not only has the acetyl L-carnitine, forskolin, but also some B vitamins, because those are also very important for weight loss. Way Less Thin is our sublingual spray. This is kind of like our lipotropic spray. So if you come to our clinic and you either had the spray or you got the lipotropic injections, this is similar to the lipotropic injections, but it's given sublingually. So it's going to accelerate the oxidation of fats, promote lean muscle mass, increase energy and endurance, reduce your appetite. So it has a lot of benefits. And again, you see some of the main ingredients there. What I will mention is anything like when you see lipotropic, the main components to a lipotropic formulation are these three nutrients: methionine, inositol, and choline. And these three amino acids really help kind of clear fat from the liver. So that's why we are always offering the lipotropic injections and the sublingual, because it really is helpful in helping kind of clear some of those fats. All right, HC2. So this is another program that we offer under our strategic weight loss programs. And this program brings in a liver detoxification component. So this is so important for people to really start understanding as well, because our poor little livers do so much for us. And if we can get the liver to work optimally, you will be shocked at how certain things just start to improve. So before I get into the details of like HC2 and why I love that program so much, it's important to know what the liver does. So the liver plays a role in bile excretion and production. So if gallbladder, the liver is basically taking on that role. It plays a role in excretion of bilirubin, hormones, cholesterol, and drugs. So if you are somebody who is on multiple medications, your liver is suffering. There's no doubt about that. It plays a role in metabolism of fats, proteins, and carbs, so you can actually use those calories. It plays a role in enzyme activation, storage of glycogen, which is sugar, so your body can actually find energy under certain situations. But the big thing is the cleansing of the toxins. I mean, it is the detoxifying organ, and plays a big role in cleansing the blood and really regulating the amount of blood in the body. So it does a ton of things for us. What it can't do, and I know this is kind of blurry, but what the liver can't do is it can't turn garbage into high quality products. And at the end of the day, all of our cells, muscle, skin, and bones are built by the foods that you supply. So I think everyone knows that, eating healthy is really kind of foundational, but I think because we don't hear it often, and, when we go see our doctors, they're not really emphasizing it. But at the end of the day, it's just like putting gas in your car. It's just like really anything else. If you're giving it cheap, fuel, it's going to run like that. So, Another piece, the whole liver component is, I don't know if anybody has ever heard of obesogens. But this is again, these are chemicals, they're compounds, they're things that we are exposed to on a regular basis. And they are components, they're basically substrates that are inhibiting our lipid metabolism. So they're making us gain weight. So they're not caloric, but they are inhibiting our metabolism. And so these are just some examples of that. You know, pesticides, plastic is huge. Just our cookware, you know, so many people are using cookware that is so toxic, like you put it, it's all scratched and you put your food on there and all that goes in there. There's soy can be very obesogenic, MSG, I'm not really sure what this is. So vinyl fungicide. Okay, so this is more of like in your carpet, things that you'd be surprised how many chemicals are just in our household items, artificial sweeteners, antibiotics, and PCBs, which is like mercury and things like that in fish. So not to overwhelm, but it's important to understand that oftentimes it's not only about the food. I mean, yeah, it could be in the food, but it also could be your environment. It could be what you're using for cleaning. It could be your laundry detergent that literally is holding you back because those toxins are really being stored in your body and preventing weight loss. So that's why I developed HC2. It really does an unbelievable job at cleansing and clearing the liver. So it helps remove toxins from the fat stores. It cleanses the liver for optimal metabolism. It has the other product is HCG Drops. So this is an awesome product that literally helps mobilize or release those visceral, like abnormal fat stores. Here's some of the extra ingredients in this particular product. And it also has electrolytes for all of our strategic weight loss programs, which is quick weight loss. It's so important, no matter what program, if you decide to do any of these programs, it is so important to replace your electrolytes. When you are inflamed, when you have inflammation in the body, inflammation draws water. When you start to decrease the inflammation, you start to mobilize fats, your body is going to flush water very, very quickly. And when you flush water, electrolytes are going to go with that. So, you know, oftentimes people, when they start to lose weight really, really fast, they're like, oh, you know, they get a headache, they get, you know, they get those symptoms. And I tell them immediately, if you're not doing this because we're replacing it, but any person that's doing one of our programs, you have to replace with electrolytes, because it's almost immediately that those type of symptoms basically go away. And then our HCG drops. So HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, been around forever. We used to offer in injections. We still do. It's just a little bit more difficult to get. And HCG has been around forever. And it has just, I mean, it just does such a good job at releasing the visceral fat stores. But you really have to create that calorie deficit. I'm going to talk just a little bit about that as we wrap up here. But HCG can also reset the hypothalamus because obviously the hypothalamus, the brain, plays such a huge role in energy balance and hunger and all of that. And like I said, it has many years of research and testing. So this is what you want your supplements to do. Mobilize that abnormal fat, provide cellular energy, spare muscle mass, because quick weight loss, if you're losing all muscle, you've put yourself in a worse condition. So you have to make sure, and that's why you measure, you know, making sure that you're not losing muscle as you lose. Boost your metabolism, support the liver, gallbladder, kidneys, and maintain your electrolyte imbalance. All right. So this is the slide that hopefully will help you understand like why we call it a metabolic reset, why we call it strategic weight loss, and how the programs have been designed. So we provide the strategic nutrients that, again, mobilize and break up the visceral fats. So basically they're thawing the food, they're moving it to the refrigerator, okay? So that's the nutrients, they're breaking it up and moving it to the refrigerator so the body can recognize it. And at the same time, you're creating that calorie deficit, because if you don't create a calorie deficit, the body's just going to go after the calories that are coming in. So you create a calorie deficit and the body immediately is like, okay, I need to find calories. So rather than, again, going to the subcutaneous, which usually is, first to go when you're losing weight, it now has access to this abundance of calories that it never had before. So this is why our programs work so effectively, because now we're literally going after the visceral fat, and the weight loss and inflammation and all that stuff starts to happen. So a little bit about me for those of you who are on this and don't know who I am. I literally started the business because, I've always been interested in health and wellness and the human body and all of that. And we're all put on this planet, and we all have our own health journey. I also had my own health journey and dealt with, thought issues like the most of my life. And that ultimately has taught me so many things. And it really just transformed the way that I think, and now the way that I create certain programs with the business. But my background, I have a bachelor of science. I went to UW-Madison at my undergrad, and then went for my master's. So I have a certification in integrative health and functional nutrition. I have a certification in as a lead therapist, which is like food sensitivities. But soccer was like my whole childhood and young adult life. I was an all-American soccer player, played with the U.S. national team. And so I was always pretty obsessed with like just health and like the body and how the body works and how I can be optimal, as an athlete. So that's kind of where my motivations come from. And when I started the business, I just became really passionate about getting the truth out there, because I feel like all of the information that we get is just wrong. And that's why, we're in the state that we're in. We're told to do keto and do this and, go on, restricted calories and just exercise more and everything will be fine. And it's just not the way that the body works. I'm all about, helping people just, look in the mirror and start to really love themselves, because I feel like we lack that a lot. Self-advocacy is huge. It should be actually number one, because, you're at the mercy of the medical system, and you're at the mercy of your doctor, and they have probably, 5 minutes to assess you. And, if you're not doing your due diligence and being prepared for those visits, it's, you're going to head down the road that it keeps you in that sick state and keep you going back. So it's really about educating yourself and being your own advocate, being the best version of yourself. And really, we're here to help people, have sustainable long-term health. That's essentially what it is. So I opened the business in 2015. I'm the only medical, so we are medical. We take a very kind of holistic approach, but only medical weight loss clinic owned by, I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist. So, I have just a different approach to things. Food is definitely the foundation, but under identifying underlying root issues is huge. We develop all of our programs. We're experts in weight loss. That's all we do. I franchised the business probably about six months ago, and we now have 2 new locations in Lake Geneva and Massachusetts, and we plan to grow nationwide. So really super duper excited about that. And just a couple patient success stories. And these are the 4-week metabolic reset program. So this is what these patients achieved in 4 weeks. So you can see, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the average weight loss in our 4-week programs is 15 to 25 pounds. So you can see here, just about 12 pounds. Here was about 18 pounds. I won't go through all the metrics, but it's usually all fat loss, which is what we're going after. Here's visceral, 18 to 15. 191 to 172, visceral fat went from 20 to 16, which is amazing. Our 30-day program, this person went from 230 to 11 in 4 weeks. We don't have metrics on him, but I know he lost close to 30 in 4 weeks, which is pretty significant. And the same for this patient. So I am going to